Welcome back to another episode of the Align for Success podcast. Hello, it's your friend. You know who it is. It is Deborah Deras, hostess with the mostest, here to help you, my friend, to align for success. Happy Monday, fun day. I like to say Monday is fun day because I get to introduce you to one of my mentors, to one of my querida amigas, one of my dearest friends. Tonight is unlike other nights. I know I always say that, but it's really true because we have someone super special to me. I consider her part of my familia, and she and I have been friends, comadres, for over 20 years. Okay. I think 20 years. We're going on 20 years. It's been a long friggin' time. And the intention of the Align for Success podcast is to help you to do the inner work so that you can have the outer success in all areas of your life. And I bring my mentors, my coaches, people that I go to when I need advice so they can share with you what is their inner strategies? What is the inner work that they do to align for success? Because align, A, is for awareness. L is for letting go. I is for the inner work. G is for grounding. Get grounded in that sand or dirt or grass. And N is saying no to what doesn't serve so you could say yes to what does. So we are going to have an amazing show today. And I love to hear your questions. So if you're just coming on, I would appreciate it if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Please share this out with your communities. We have a saying at the Align for Success podcast, and that saying is sharing is caring. And I know some of you are getting ready for dinner. Some of you are running around trying to get out of the office. But the more people that we have aligned, where their thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and results are in integrity with their soul, the better the world is going to be. So I wanted to let you know, for those of you that have been listening, this is like our, I think, ninth episode. I don't even know, our eighth or ninth episode of the podcast. And every week I give you a gift. And this week I am giving you a free download of my 4 steps on how to align for success video. Where can you get this video? Right on my website, which is my name. You know my name. It's deborahderas.com. You can just call me miss.com for short. That's so funny, right? Okay, so without any further ado, I am going to introduce you to an amazing woman. And by the way, Nancy believes that your deep genius is the unique combination of your innate strengths, life experiences, and aha moments that make you who you are. It reveals your value, your special gifts, and even your life purpose. And today's guest is, let me bring her on so you can see her, is, ooh la la. Today's guest is Nancy Marmolejo. She is the OG Comadre coach, founder of Talent and Genius, my friends. And you have no idea what a treat you're in for. Nancy Marmolejo is an executive coach, keynote speaker who teaches leaders and entrepreneurs how to tap into their deep genius, that one of a kind combination of innate strengths, life experiences, and accrued expertise that only you bring to the table. Dubbed a professional paradigm shifter. Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's so awesome. Nancy's been featured in Forbes, the Huffington Post, Latina magazine, Univision, Smart Money, Redbook, as well as many popular podcasts. An avid trivia nerd and an unapologetic cat mom. Nancy lives near Oakland, wait a minute, with her family and her orange cat. Oakland in the house.
Oakland's in
Welcome,
the
Nancy.
house. Hello, and I'm wearing blue because I love you, and that's your color. Red's usually my
Oh,
color,
that
but
is so sweet.
I brought Frivita with me, and I guess I'm an OG. Hey, look at me, I'm OG.
You're OG. Well, let me just tell them the story. Like Nancy and I met like in 1979. No, I'm just kidding. We should have met in preschool. No, but when I first started my business as a coach, and this was like back, a long time ago, like 1999, and I was doing research, and I'm like, are there even any Latina coaches out there? And like, I just Googled the word Latina coach, and who comes up? The one and only Nancy. And she had this amazing company called Comadre Coaching. And
Yeah,
I subscribed to her newsletter. And you know how you subscribe to some people's newsletters and you never ever read it? You don't even look at it. I would read every single word of her newsletter because it had so much of her beautiful, passionate, vivacious personality. And it was your brand. And that is your genius, that you're able to create a brand and put it into a newsletter that a stranger could feel you and feel like they know you. So that's how we met, right?
I
Is it
love
right?
that. I remember you contacted me, and I
What did
remember
I say?
you said, "Oh my God, it's like Latina coaches, population two." You
Yes,
know, like
exactly.
that's the earth. That was like if there was no Venn diagram. I mean, it was just like we were. It was just us. Like, hello, friend. Hello,
Anybody out
friend.
there?
So we are OGs because now we're like the tias to the young and up and coming coaches, Latinx, Latina, however
Exactly.
people want to identify. And yeah, now we're mentors and good aunties, and I love it. It is so good, and it still stays fresh, and it still feels good and fun. And can I just take a moment and say how much I love you? Because you just showered me with all this love, but I love you back. And the admiration that I had for you when we first met was you were so focused and you were just out there doing it. I remember like talking to you on the phone one time. You were driving back from like Mojave or somewhere. You had spoken at a Air Force base or something,
Right.
and we were talking, and it was like you had this glamorous lifestyle of the pro speaker, and I thought, ooh, I want to be like her when I grow up.
Oh, that's funny. The glamorous lifestyle of driving through the Mojave Desert. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that. I was seeing like mirages and I was like, oh my God, crazy.
bring water.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. A mutual admiration club. And, for so many people, because when I was spreading the word about the podcast and people were like, oh my God, I love Nancy. Like you're known, in our small little Latino professional circle, people know your name, but they may not know your story. Like, how did you get started? Because nobody goes, like, one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a life coach, right? No one goes with that as the goal in mind. It's usually something that happens after what we studied for years, something else. But how did you get to become a coach and an executive coach and a speaker?
My first career was as an educator. I was a teacher, and I always worked with kids who were falling through the cracks. So I have this ability to really see a person and to see everything that somebody brings to the table. It's just that's a gift I have. And so if I'm working with students who the system has said, wait till they drop out, I'm like, no, I'm taking them to UC Berkeley. We're going to go check out a law school. We're going to go to a rally. We're going to, and so and things woke up in them, and suddenly, I was able to tap into their genius. And then when my daughter was born, I decided that I didn't want to go to work anymore because we just had a lot of things happen in her first year of life, and I wanted to be home with her. And I just looked around and I thought, what could I do that involves all the different things that I love to do, working with people, reflecting someone's greatness back to them. And I love writing. And I think when you're a teacher, you're kind of a public speaker every single day. And I was a speaker already at like educational conferences and things like that. So I know what I love, and I grew up in a family business. So I know about marketing, and that whole story that could be a whole different podcast episode. But it was really just like taking all of those things and looking and seeing what is it that I really want to do, and doing some research. I knew I wanted to do something that was online, that I could do from home, that put all these skills together, and I discovered coaching. thought this is the coolest thing in the world. This is back in the time of Thomas Leonard and Coachville.
Oh
And
yeah, I was part of Coachville.
I wrote, I took classes through there. I enrolled in a coaching training program and completed that. And, I knew that in order to get clients, I needed to get myself out there, but I couldn't leave home because I had a baby who had some health problems. And so, website, email, social media, I jumped on all of it as a way to grow my business. And yeah, here it is 150 years later.
I know, right? Oh wow. But the wonderful thing is, a lot of people have visions and they have dreams, and that's their passion. And they have what I call the soul's contract, which is like what our destiny is and what we're supposed to do, which is our purpose. But then they often, when I first started my coaching business, was called Passionate Living Now, their question to me, but how can I make money doing what I love, which is like that profit circle? And one of the things that you do in Talent and Genius is to help people to be able to communicate what they do so that they're able to get it out into the world. How do you connect those concentric circles so people are able to really make a living doing what they love?
Well, I mean, it's the type of, I feel that if you can communicate something clearly to another person and it touches upon a need, or it touches upon something that they want resolution in their lives. And this can happen whether you're an entrepreneur and you're doing it as a way to sell your services or things in your business, or, there's a whole other half of my business, which is working with leaders and especially women of color. How do you get heard? How do you get valued for what it is that you do? So it's around communicating your value and doing it from a place that's not cheesy or scripted. I want people to be comfortable in their own skin. And I feel that if you can just get to that place where you're comfortable in your own skin and you really understand that these strengths of yours are not some big lie that you're telling yourself. It's really true. You really do have these strengths. Owning it, saying it, communicating it, it makes a huge difference. That way people, they know, like, and trust you much more easily. And that is applied in any situation where you need to communicate so that there's some kind of a response. So if you want to communicate about, this podcast, we're going to, talk about this podcast in a really fun way where people are going to be so insanely curious, they can't wait to listen in. Or if you describe your superpowers in a certain way where people think, oh my gosh, I don't think there's anybody on the planet who has that unique combination. Get that person in here. So there's so many different ways that we can apply this.
And I think what's so unique about you, and the reason why I resonate with you, and probably a lot of people do, it's because of the authenticity that you bring. Because there are a lot of people, and you and I have been to every coaching speaker seminar where they sell you like it's free for the weekend, and then you get there and they're upselling, and it's just like this whole sale fest, and there's all this NLP mumbo jumbo that's to manipulate you to buy this because you're lacking this and you need this, and it's crazy. I mean, literally, I had a speaker that I admired so much that like did it to me, and I felt like I had been like tricked, and I literally complained and got my money back because it was so much manipulation that it was just horrible. But what you do is when you teach people how to communicate, it's from that authentic place of sharing their superpowers. So it's not like a contrived, like this is the formula and this is the template, right? It's just a natural, organic. What is your process to help people connect with that superpower genius?
Oh, that's my favorite topic. Okay, so so the first thing I just want to say is regarding any kind of, what we'll call messaging, is just leave the script aside. That whole memorized elevator script or elevator pitch, just put it aside for a minute and be yourself, because you have to make a connection with people. You want to be real, and you can always tell when somebody is talking at you from some memorized script. They don't even see you. Their eyes are glazed over. Like if you go to networking and everybody's just sort of reciting their thing and handing a business card and then moving over to the next person when we were doing that in person, but it still happens virtually. It's like, I just want to go, hi, like, can we just slow it down for a second? And I don't, do you want to just have me tell you about what I do so that way you can judge me and you're going to figure out like whether I'm worth spending the next 1 minute with? It's like, because if that's where you're coming from, peace out. I'm going to the next person, so I'm a relationship person. I'm relationship oriented. And in business, I believe in relationships. Whatever I can do to feel like we are having some kind of a real connection. Now that there are people who've never met me, and over the years they've read my, stuff that I post on social media, or they've followed me and taken classes or whatever, but we've never actually hung out in the same room or even talked to each other. And I will get emails from people and they'll say, every time you send out something, I feel like you're talking to me. And then I'll have an actual conversation with somebody and they're shocked. And they say, you're just like how you were in that video. I mean, this is like you. And
it is kind of shocking. It did surprise me. I was like, wow, she is not faking the funk. She is really who she is. But I mean, in LA, it's a little shocking. It's like, because everybody's trying to pretend something they're not, or saying that they're better than they are, right? Instead of just being their imperfect self, which is just good enough.
I think it's important to be relatable.
Yes.
That's a value of mine. I want to be relatable because, again, I'm relationship oriented. So for me, doing business is about having a relationship with somebody. If somebody's going to give me their money, like, I want them to know that they're doing the right thing. When you were talking about, that thing that you went to where you felt totally manipulated, I don't want to be that person. It's like, let's just be real. So having talking points about yourself. You'd asked me a question that I haven't really answered yet. So I'm kind of roundabout. I'm very nonlinear. Sorry.
Yes, so the process to get
the process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that Sarah and Melissa and Brittany and Jaya and everybody, that they have a tool to be able to use to communicate, because a lot of times people, like you said, feel that imposter syndrome is real, and they're hesitant to say they're genius and who they are.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple of tips. Number one is really have an understanding of what your core values are. If your core value is fun,
what?
Have fun. If your core value is creativity, show that. If you have a core value of precision, all of these things, there's no good or bad, but understand what your core values are, and then have an understanding of your personality, because your core values and your personality, that's really going to set the tone, your voice. You and I, Deb, we can be silly, we could be sexy, we could be smart, we could be spiritual, we could be all those things at the same time, blow people's minds. And that's who we are. That's us being comfortable in our own skin. But we're not going to go out and take something on because somebody else said, oh, this is what you should say and this is how you should show up. We're just showing up.
Right.
So you got to understand, like, those core values are just you being in your authenticity and having an understanding of your personality and the tone. I notice a lot of people, they're in these straitjackets. They're following the rules. Like, stop being the good girl or the good boy. Stop being that, if I don't do it this way, somebody won't approve of me. Like, please toss that out. Like, we can tell when you're not being you, and we can tell when you're being confined and constricted, and you're so bogged down by this box and these rules. It's like, ugh.
Nancy, when I first started speaking and I was doing a lot of corporate gigs, I thought, especially because I was younger, I was going to say so young, when people used to introduce me as the young speaker when I was in my late 20s, and I would be so insulted. If they call me young speaker now, I'd be like, go on, how young I am. How young am I? Oh yeah, I'm super young. So they would be like, this young speaker. So I cut my hair short so I could be taken more seriously. Instead of wearing my bright blue color, I was wearing like gray and navy blue, and I was in a suit. I couldn't breathe, friend. It was just like I was like in a button suit. I can't, and I just wanted to be what I thought they wanted me to be, and
That's
I
it.
did not bring out my fun till maybe 8 years ago. And it was like the end of my professor career, and I was like, what would it started happening at 9 p.m. because I would get tired and I couldn't be my fake self anymore when I was tired. So my real self would come out. And when my real self would come out, I didn't know it was funny, but they'd be laughing. I'd be like, why are they laughing at me? I'm not saying a joke. But it was like my natural personality was more playful. And then I said, well, what if I was my natural self all the time? I had more fun teaching and speaking. And guess what? They did. And it worked in corporate, it worked in government, it worked, I think, everywhere but this one insurance company. But they're not my people, right?
It's just when you're being yourself, people start to understand that, and then they start to be themselves, and then we're not in this whole like posing and you know, fakeness. So yeah, oh my God, I love that as an example. And you're larger than life. I mean, that's how I think of you. You're just you're so exuberant and enthusiastic, and I can't imagine any of that being quieted down.
Well,
Last thing
people would
ever.
say people would say that I was too much, hashtag demasiado. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to turn myself down. But I didn't realize that's not what needed to happen. I just needed
No.
to brand myself. And like literally one of the contracts I got, they said, we hired you because you're fun. I'm like, oh, really? That's great. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're helping people, number one, with their core values. Was there a second thing that you were going to share?
All right. So there's core values, and there's understanding like your personality. So that way you kind of understand the tone. And then the third thing, and this is like the secret weapon right here, is that I love all these
You like the
comments.
comments?
You are so funny. She's hilarious. This woman makes me laugh. That's why I'm like, will I get through my presentation? Can I get through these questions? Because I just want to sit here and laugh with you. The
Sorry.
third piece is okay. I started my life as an educator, so I'm going to get grammatical on you. Verbs. All right. Hear me out. Hear me out. Don't squat. Don't turn away. A verb is an action word. And if you have a strong verb that you use when you're describing yourself, that makes a really big difference. So, for example, I could say, I'm a coach, and that's just basically giving you a title, like I'm a coach. But what is it that I do? I actually have I have things. I have words up on my wall. I'm looking up here. I reflect people's genius back to them. Reflect is a powerful verb. Or maybe you're the kind of person who can simplify complex processes. When you say the word simplify, what happens is people get this vision in their head of like, oh, my overwhelm is going away. Or if you're like, Dad, you activate and you ignite, and you know that you're going to be like, have a higher energy level as a result of interacting with her. Or there are people who they design, they create, they build, they engineer, they, position, all these different things. So find the word that's not, don't take my word if it's not yours, and don't take Deb's word if it's not yours. Find yours. And that's part of your innate genius. Like, these are things you know. Do you create? Do you envision? Do you activate? Do you catalyze? Do you ignite, empower, build, manage, lead, design? I mean, you go and you look at list of verbs and you go find one. Don't find one that's like, 100 syllables long. Something simple, something that people don't have to really think about, but makes you stand out. And that, my friends, that's a secret weapon right there.
I love it. Melissa says she's starting a PR company and hers is harnessing the power of media. Brittany says, I love this idea of the verb as the secret weapon, Nancy. Yeah, I loved it that you picked up on my igniting and activating, because that's definitely, but I was not aware of that until recently, that was it. And you mentioned something about understanding your personality. And I know, aren't you certified in like Myers-Briggs? Is that the
DISC? DISC,
DISC.
and I'm going to be doing positive intelligence. Yeah, all those little things. Yeah.
And so how does, because our first A and aware and align is awareness, right? So
Mm.
how does knowing ourself allow us to be better leaders in our companies and when we're growing professionally? How does self-awareness help us to grow?
So if you know your core values, that's self-awareness, because you know what's important to you. You know what you'll stand up and fight for. You know what you will advocate for. You know what will get you angry when somebody crosses that line. So if honesty is a big core value of yours and someone is dishonest with you, it's like, ooh, hold on. That's self-awareness. Knowing your personality, your natural self, that's self-awareness. That's important. Understanding yourself, when one of these power words, these verbs, that's understanding you as well. And it's not like being, oh, I want to be organized, so I'm going to tell everybody I organize things, when really you're a hot mess and you don't organize a thing. But you're good at other stuff. Why don't you just celebrate the things you're good at? I mean, it feels like one of those children's stories. We all are blessed with these gifts, but people want what the other one has without realizing the light that shines inside of us. However, I got to say, it's sometimes hard to see it in ourselves because
Yes.
we're looking out at other people. That's why it's good to have, whether you're having a coach reflect it back to you or a friend reflect it back to you, you're in some kind of go ask people, say, what's something I'm awesome at that I really don't even talk about? So, yes.
No, and that's so important because, even myself as a coach, we all have blind spots. Like I have 5 coaches, including you, right? So like if there's a block that I have, I'll have to, go to you to get that clarity. Like we can't get it by ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you went mute.
Sorry about that. There was a little echo, so I was trying to fix the echo going on there. Um, We love you, sound, and I love that you're working perfectly today. Okay, come on, align with us, sound, align with us. So I love that you say that to get a coach because never trust a coach that doesn't have a coach, because that feedback to that blind spot is so important to get you out of the places that you're stuck. One of the things that a coach does, and Nancy as an executive coach, Nancy working with like boss babes, CEO, COO, right? You're working with all these people up there in Silicon Beach, ooh la la.
Boss babes all day long. I'm just telling you. No.
Yes, she does. I know. So you do something called a VIP day. What do you do on a VIP day?
On a VIP day, I work with somebody intensively. Back in the olden days, we do it in person, but I have people who they might want to hammer something out in a brief amount of time, and so we spend, several focused hours on it. Other people, we want to do this over a longer stretch of time. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. Just to let people know, I do have some, do it yourself, follow along programs, but there's something like everybody wants my feedback. So I end up just really loving to work intensively with folks. And if it happens over the course of a day, or if it happens over the course of a month or several months, we just make it work for, people's learning styles and ability to implement and all of that good stuff.
And I think one of your talents that I'm sure you would say you would agree to is that your intuitive ability to really connect with the essence of a person. So someone may say, "Oh, my core values are this, or my personality is like this," but because you're so tuned in, you might say, "Well, I notice a little of this, or I notice a little of that," because you can see the light in them.
This is true. And I have to make a clarification because I was on a podcast last week and I said, I'm intuitive, I'm empathic, and I'm actually clairvoyant. And I don't know if somebody thought I gave readings or something, because I don't. It's sort of like,
You could.
that's not my thing. But yes, that is something that I do have. And that's probably one of the reasons why my private work is so powerful with people, because I can
Yeah.
really connect with somebody. And It's just, I just get visions for people. I mean, I have friends who have business ideas that maybe are in the planning stages, and somebody will start to tell me about this business that they're planning, and all of a sudden I can see the whole thing. I say, okay, this is what I see. And then from there, I don't just see here's the whole thing.
Right.
I start seeing the marketing for it and the messaging for it and how that can happen in a business sense.
Ooh la
Or
la.
if somebody's talking about their career path, they want to get a promotion to do X, Y, and Z, and I kind of feel into it. And I ask a few more questions, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I can see where they're going and how they need to present themselves and communicate to be that person who's moving into that higher position. So
I love that.
It's fun.
I read a book by Sonia Choquette.
Yes.
About discovering, I think it was like second sight, insight, something about trusting your intuition. And in that book, that's where I learned, and she talks about the 6 clairs, and that I was clairaudient because I could hear. I would get divine downloads. So I wasn't seeing visions for my clients, but I was hearing messages for them. So they would say something, and then I would hear it. I would just call them divine downloads. I'm like, I'm getting a divine download for you. I'm getting a divine download for you. So it's so interesting to hear you say that. And I know how masterful and talented. And not only are you heart-based, soul-based, but also, let's talk about some of the grounding, because I think what I've got to know about you through quarantine, and we're going to talk about surviving quarantine in a minute, next question, is all of your work with your plants and nature and being outside, and how now you're doing like these sage or all the sprayables that you're doing, the healing work. I think that's another important that makes you not just the average executive coach / urban fairy, mystic, what do we call you?
Yes. You know what? I just have to say that Sonia Choquette, you and I went to that.
We went together?
You met me there. There was like a couple people. We all met there. It was in LA. Okay.
I thought it was in San Jose. Oh my God. It's all a blur.
No, it was in LA. All right. So what I've done during quarantine is I've been a good pandemic girl. Well, kind of good, but a pretty good pandemic girl. And I'm home a lot, and I have a backyard, and I have a garden, and I grow sage. It's so funny. I actually have a sprig of sage that's right here, and I did not. It broke off the other day. Look at it. Everybody, bless yourselves. Bless yourselves. Bless yourselves.
Bless me.
So I just have a deep spiritual connection, with the earth. You and I both have indigenous ancestry. We honor our ancestors, and sage is a big part of it. Don't buy sage, everybody. Don't buy sage. Don't buy sage. Trade for it. But I grow it in my backyard. And this last summer, I was, usually I'll pick a bunch of it and bundle it up, and people will ask me if they could have some. And I said, well, just send me some money for postage and I'll give it to you. It's like, I can't charge for it. And so they send me money for postage. I send it all over the world, Mexico, England,
nice.
Europe, all over Europe, Canada, all over the US. People want the sage, and they like mine because they know I pray over it. And so this last summer, I was just kind of playing around, and I wanted to experiment by making a tincture where you take herbs and you soak them in alcohol. And then afterwards, it's like 4, 6, 8 weeks later, I've got this big old mason jar full of this brown liquid stuff, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then I had this great idea. Why don't I put it in a spray bottle? And I've got sprayable sage.
Spray me.
So I made sage sprays. Like,
oh. Spray me. Oh.
Everybody feel it? Okay, go bless yourself.
I have some at home. She sent me some.
I'm telling you, it smells so good. So I made this, and I put it, I posted something on social media, and I just said, I've got sprayable sage. It's from the medicine garden. And all of a sudden my inbox was just jammed. People are like, I want some. And so I better make some more. But then I started making different blends. I go out on the trails by my house. I pick bay leaves from the California bay laurel trees, which is a sacred plant. I put that in there, and that helps you open up your intuition and your psychic pathways. And I threw some lavender that I grew in the garden, that every day I go out and hug my plants. I say, I love you so much. You're so cute. And I just go, oh, you're. And so I put them all these blends together. So the next thing I know, I've got these blends, and I made this one called Walk in Beauty, which is
I have
lavender
that.
and bay. Yeah, lavender, bay, and sage. And people love it because they use it and they start to feel grounded. And they're telling me they're having these amazing dreams. And I give you like a little prayer book to go with it. Oh yeah, and then they're like, oh, is this your new business? I said, no, it's my ministry. But it helps me be better in my business
Yes.
because it's a spiritual outlet. It's an earth outlet. It's gardening. How can you not be happy when you got your hands in the dirt and you got these gorgeous plants that are just sending you love? So now I
And
do
it's so
that.
therapeutic. Not only are you growing them, but they're growing you. And
Oh,
that is the G in a line, right? So I know that in quarantine, like you and I have always been connected through Facebook. And one of the things that I loved about your newsletter and that I love about your social media is you are masterful, whether you're talking about your business or you're talking about your freaking cat. You're masterful at descriptively copywriting in such a way that people feel connected. And it was like I was going through a lot of challenge, especially in April. And I remember writing something like, I'm losing it on Facebook. And you reached out to me and we formed a beautiful sisterhood bond. And I'm so forever grateful for you. We talk every day, multiple times a day. Now we're addicted to each other now.
my
Um,
wife.
yeah, she's kind of my wife. So we talk many, many, many times a day. But one of the things that I think people need to know is what spiritual practices do you use to stay grounded and anchored, especially during a time like last year, 2020 quarantine, and with being a business owner going through it? What are the inner practices you use and what can they use to be able, because we're not out of it yet. I mean, we may be free to roam about the cabin, but there's still a lot of constriction going on.
We're still having turbulence.
Yeah, there's still
Oh my God. So, well, I mean, what we need to do is just always have a practice. I keep reading the comments that are coming up. Hey, I see Brittany's comment. That's cute. No, I like them. They're good. I love them. All right. Oh, Maria's here. Oh, I'm so distracted right now. I have to answer your question and I want to talk to the audience. So practices, here's the thing, whether it's so I'm a spiritual person, so I will use words like God, creator, spirit. And that's that's an individual choice of how you want to call it, if you want to acknowledge a higher power. So that's part of my thing, because that way I know that somebody else is driving the car. When you were a little kid, you just got in the car and you got to where you needed to go. You didn't even have to worry about it. You could fall asleep in the back seat and you'd wake up at home in your bed, or, just like, that's life. That's spirituality right there. Just understanding, like, we're passengers in this car, and there's a certain element of release. And so to release, anything that can calm this craziness and the nervous system, really,
right.
We get so keyed up. And so I do practices, every morning I get up and I read something inspirational, I meditate, I pray. I just have this ritual time for at least like an hour in the morning where everybody's quiet. I might listen to some meditation music, go out in the garden, use my spray. I might, burn some sage. And also, things that I've learned along the way, like, tapping, like the EFT tapping, where you're tapping these points and affirming. I'm learning these things right now where you just gently put your fingertips together for like 10. All right, everybody put your fingertips together so lightly. All you do is feel the ridges of your fingerprints and just be really quiet and take a few deep breaths. And you do that for like 10 seconds and it's like, I don't want to tear your head off anymore. Okay. I mean, like,
calm yourself down.
It's calming. It takes you out of your craziness and it gives you something to focus on. There's a whole bunch more of those, but these are just like little, like, if you are just like, I'm going to kill blank, you get on in there with this little stuff. I have to use it a lot. Tell me. I mean, I have
I
to use it a
don't
lot.
because I stopped driving because of quarantine, so I'm so much calmer. There's nobody cutting me off or anything.
I'm kind of good. Like, it's funny because I used to be just like, I have to be around people all the time. And I haven't been around people for a year and I'm liking it. It's
I
like
do too.
people
What are we
are
gonna do?
a little overrated. So I love you all. I love you virtually right now, but I'm really picky about who I let into my space. And that's another thing that helps keep me grounded. I felt a little guilty. I'm like, oh, am I making some, bubble of my own little reality where I'm out of touch with the real world? Or am I just
Right.
being very intentional about whose energy I allow in? I'm like, well, I don't want everybody.
No, I mean that is so important to really be mindful when you're aligning for success because there are people out there. I don't want to call them Debbie Downers or negative Nancy's. No way. We should think of another word. Pessimistic Patty or something. Pessimistic Patties. There's these pessimistic Pat or Patties out there that are gonna like when you say you have a new business idea, they'll be like, "Who are you to do that?" And oftentimes these pessimistic Patties are reflecting of your ego. So I remember one time I was feeling like, I don't know, I'd gained weight, I was feeling fat, and I literally felt it like in my mind. And then somebody out of the blue said it to me randomly, "You're fat." That was like so crazy that a stranger would come up to me and say that. But I realized that mirror reflection of even my subconscious thoughts were coming up to be revealed, to be healed. I was like, okay, I need to work on my self talk if this person is saying that to me. And that is like, totally
Yeah.
inappropriate.
And then sometimes stuff like that comes up just randomly. I remember one time I was somewhere and somebody wanted to take a group photo and post it on Facebook. And I don't always want all my business on Facebook. I'm really picky about what I put on Facebook. It's like my garden, my cat, you know, me, a selfie or something. But I don't need everybody to know everywhere I'm going. And so somebody was
Yeah.
like, oh, we're going to do a great picture. And I knew this was going to get posted on Facebook. And I said, no, that's okay. And the person said to me, is that because you're afraid you're going to look old? And I'm like, no.
Oh, so
I was
rude.
like, I was older than that person, but I'm like, no, I
Does
don't think
J
so.
Lo have that concern? I don't think so.
I think
Okay.
I'm okay. I'm holding up. So I mean, and so what it did, it gave me the opportunity to claim like that's not an issue for me because that's like you and I, we forget to look at the calendar and know
Yeah, we
what.
don't even know how old we are. Yeah,
I don't know.
we have no idea.
23,
Exactly.
moving it
29.
on.
I like I'm 32. Yeah, about to do a triathlon. I don't know how old I am. You're going to do it with us. So and actually you're taking the hour in the morning to align allows you to have that power of discernment so that when people are talking crazy or when things are not the capital T truth and are other people's illusions or other people's stories or it is you're able to allow to have the awareness that it's a trigger to let it roll off so that it doesn't stick and really cause that upset. So part of aligning for success, and that's really important in business because that's like your emotional intelligence to be able to see what is your part, what is their part, and how to deal with that. How do you deal with that in the workplace? Because I know it's challenging, and especially in our world sometimes there's doggy dog jealousy going on in our beautiful world that we live in, being
It doesn't.
speakers.
I don't experience that. I don't experience toxic people really around me. I think because I've created a buffer around myself of protection and joy. So it's like it doesn't
Ah,
get to me. Every now and then, if somebody does try to come and get me with an indirecta or leave their little knife in my back or something, that it hurts, but I bounce back a lot faster. When I was younger, before I was doing all of these tools or when I might have just started doing it, it was hard for me to shake it when, somebody was mean to me or dishonest or, anything in that way. But and I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So I grew up being resilient, but I'm also very spongy, empathetic. I can soak up the feelings in the room. So I have to be really, really careful about just guarding my energy. And that's something I've been, working on for a long, long time. I would go to these energy healers and they'll be like, oh God, yuck, what's all this stuff all over you? And I just,
Ah,
I've been gunked a few times. But,
yeah.
I think that just, again, all that grounding and also something that I learned, and I have to say a failed relationship or two have taught me some really, really good skills because I'll go a little bit personal, but I was in a relationship after I got married and it didn't work out. And we went to counseling
Mhm.
and it was really, really amazing. Like the tools that we had, we were given homework about how to communicate and how to have a difficult conversation because I used to like to avoid difficult conversations. But ever since I was given this homework to have these difficult
Oh,
conversations,
really?
I had them. And then it's like, oh, I can do that. And now I have them. And now people who are close to me, they're just like, oh my God, Nancy, you're not going to do one of those conversations. I'm like, yes, we're going to have one. So
Because they're not difficult anymore to you?
they are less difficult. I have to remember that not everybody's comfortable with them, but it's really good when I'm able to just speak my truth and be honest and compassionate with somebody.
Yes.
So if something needs to be addressed, it gets addressed. It doesn't
Yes.
fester into a resentment. So what you
Right.
were talking about before, jealousy or anything like that, nip it in the bud. Just say, and I just I learned such great language. When you were doing this, the story I was telling myself was that you think I'm stupid or that you don't respect me. And that's all I had to say. And it was that piece. The story I'm telling myself is blank. I'm not saying you're making me feel this way.
Ah, so how you frame it, then the
Yeah,
other person isn't going to get defensive. The story I'm telling myself
it's
is,
owning your shit.
so then you own your shit. Wow, that's what Jackie Tapia last week was talking about, owning it. Yes.
I know we didn't come on here for relationship advice or all that stuff, but or how to
No,
have a difficult
it's
conversation.
all a part of alignment because if people can't have difficult communications, you cannot be a business owner, you can't work in corporate America,
True.
right?
And the other part of it is you can't own your genius if you're walking around afraid to just like clear the air. And this isn't about getting all, I'm going to tell you, it's not about
Right.
attacking somebody with your words. It's really about, that part of the story I was telling myself is blank. That has mitigated some major, major drama in my life because when I say that to another person, the other person will be like shocked, like, oh,
Right.
I was,
Your ego's not your amigo, girl. What's your ego talking about that
yeah,
story?
people are all ready to throw down. I'm like, no, I come here with a flower. I'm just telling you, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
But break it down again so that Maria and Melissa and Brittany, everybody can get it. What was the step one and the step two?
Of what? We've said
Of
so many things.
no, the step one of the process. You said so when.
Oh, this conversation. Look at everybody. Go home and try it. You just say that when such and such happened. When you didn't call me, when you said you were going to call me, the story I was saying to myself, or the story that was in my head, was that you don't care, or I'm not important to you, or when you said this thing to this other person, the story in my head was that you were trying to throw me under the bus.
No,
And I want to get clarity on this.
that's wonderful.
Leave it
Yes,
open.
I love it. And what's powerful about you is that your intention is always compassion, love, peace. Like you're going with that. Like you're not going like let's fight this out or I'm right and you're wrong. And so the intention behind these conversations makes a big difference too. To always go with the intention of harmony, balance, equilibrium, justice, right?
We do our best. It's not perfect all the time. I'm the full moon. I'm noticing I get a little less
I steer.
tolerant.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
understandable. Where's oh, Jennifer says, own it. Exactly. That's what I love about Nancy Marmolejo. She owns it. And when she owns it, you empower all those Latinas, everybody that is looking at you to own it as well, right? Right? Um, don't you have a Lean In Latina group? What is your Lean In
Oh,
Latina
I
group?
do. Oh, I do. I have a group. If you go to leanin.org and you look up Lean In Circles, look for Latina speakers and coaches. That's a circle that I lead. And you don't have to necessarily be a speaker or a coach to belong to it. It's just there are some speakers and coaches who are in the group, but there are people who want to have more confidence when they're speaking at work. They're getting talked over. And we're talking people with like doctorates and master's degrees and PhDs, and they're sitting in the room and they're like, people are talking over them like they don't know anything. And so there's like a confidence and assertiveness. And then as far as like coaching, how to be a better listener and things like that. And then, we're still a fairly new group. We're not even 6 months old yet. We just kicked off in November of 2020. And it's really cool though. I'm impressed. We
I'm
have
impressed with
doctors.
you and your group. Yeah.
We got NASA scientists, and we've got like high tech Silicon Valley chicas, and
Ooh la la.
we've got some powerhouses in there. It is very cool.
Yes, and I love that. And what advice do you have for the people that are, still a little conflicted about their personal brand and are a little bit uncomfortable posting on social media their new endeavor? Because I know a lot of people on here, they have new businesses that they're launching, yet they don't feel totally comfortable to go full out. How can they authentically communicate their personal brand online?
Just remember those core values and demonstrate it. Can I tell you a little example of something that
Yes.
just happened? Okay, so I have this beautiful amiga. Her name is Maud. And Maud and I were like medicine sisters. We just are like, we glom to each other because we both love plants and we both love to kind of play and do, magical, mystical things with our plants. And she's going to be launching something around, like she's going to be making CBD products and things like that. She said,
I need
how
that.
should I? Yeah, she's like, she goes, I put a bunch of my products out there. I put a picture of them and there was a price and nobody bought anything. And I said, you know what? You got to just show the magic of you making stuff.
Right, right.
And so yesterday she put this story on Instagram and Facebook. That was amazing. So first of all, she took her hair out. She had it like kind of close to her head, and she took it out and she like combed it out so her hair was big and full and this beautiful afro, and she had these round sunglasses on. She's just like the second coming of Angela Davis out there with her herbs, and she's this gorgeous woman with this beautiful body, and she's got this tank top on and she's got her sunglasses on and her hair, and she's under this lace canopy she made for herself that I call it the temple. And she's showing you how to sprout hemp seeds, and it's like she's just talking and she's got music, or she's not even talking, she's just got music going, but she's got some captions, and it's like it's like, I can't wait for that to be done. Please show me. Please show me. So there's this certain, like, just share your joy, share the process. It's not like, bam, buy my stuff, bam, buy my stuff. Build that.
Oh, and share your joy. Did you hear what she said, everyone? That is an aha moment right now, because I think that's where many people, maybe myself included, go wrong. We think we have to tell people about our products or services, and that feels awkward, and that feels salesy, and that feels weird. But if we, what did you say? Share our joy? Because that's what I see you doing. I'm like, what is she doing now? She's in the dirt. How awesome. Like, it's pure, unencumbered, unadulterated, just sharing is caring. And then we're like, we want to buy what you have, not because you're telling us to buy, but because we want, if you are experiencing joy, we want to experience joy. It's like contagious.
I very rarely pitch my services on social media, but I get 90% of my business from social media.
Wow.
So it's just, I'm just out there being comfortable in my own skin. And what happens is somebody will send me a message in my inbox. I have been waiting and waiting to hire you. I know now is the time. Or I've been watching you for so long and I've been so afraid to step forward. I don't know why, but now is the time. And so I'm like, come on, seek, I give you refuge. So it's one of those things where I just like it. People will say, why don't you pitch your stuff more? Why don't you post a thing? Tell them what you have on sale. Tell them your stuff. And I'm like, I could do that, but then I don't get any response. I mean, people know I do stuff. I post pictures of myself speaking. I post pictures of, I do share success stories, but I don't do a whole lot of like, buy my shit, buy my shit, buy my shit, because people won't listen to that anymore. And it's just more, I want you to feel comfortable with me. So when you do come to me and hire me, there's already a feeling of trust there. You know that I'm not going to be some totally different person when we talk. I'll be really honest with you and say, yeah, I think we should work together. And this is how much it's going to cost if you want it to be done right, or whatever it is. And so I want people to just be honest about, what it is that they need, feel comfortable about coming up to me. And I think I'm a boutique luxury brand is what I am.
And boutique luxury brand.
People
she's not for everyone. She's not for everyone.
I give a lot of free advice. And if for anybody who's in, you have any kind of a coaching business or anything, give out the free advice that will prepare somebody to be your ideal client.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the YouTube channel and the podcast, to give it all away so that people know, who you are, your core values, and what pain or problem you solve for them. Oh my God, our time has gone so fast. We're over time. I thought we had like another 20 minutes, and it's like, okay, we're 10 minutes over. But you know what? We could talk all night, and we will, but not with you. Because we gotta go. But I want you to be able to stay in touch with Nancy, because she has so much more to share. And you can connect with her on Instagram here at the Nancy Marmolejo. You could also go to Talent and Genius. And aren't you giving something away at Talent and Genius?
10 message starters. Oh my God, get it. I printed it out. I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about it, but you know what? 10 message starters. It's free. It's so much fun. It's how not to be boring.
Oh, give us one. Give us one. We have time. Give us one.
Well, it's okay. Hold on a moment. I have to get beautiful. Let's do one. Name who you work with. So and so work with me when they need, and then you throw in your superpower. Like companies work with me when they need the best way to get their remote teams working smoothly and happily. Or I'm passionate about helping urban youth, and then you say what it is, discover gardening and the joy of growing their own food. Those are just some examples of them. Or you can say, I'm a blank, and you throw in your title. So I can help people blank.
So you're going to give us this in this download sheet?
Yeah, there's 10 of them. There's 10 of them. Okay, how about somehow I get hired by all these engineers and these literally rocket scientists and like full on rocket scientists. Like when they find out I can't do math, they'll still love me, but I say I'm a geek whisperer. They go, what do you do? I'm a geek whisperer. So I'm working on personal branding with people who don't like to talk about themselves and would just rather stick their head into some, physics problem than to talk about themselves. And I give them a safe place to do that. And so I've become this geek whisperer. I actually really love that. It's really fun.
Perfect place for you in Silicon Beach. All the wonderful tech geeks are there. I loved it.
I work with the hospitality industry. I work with coaches. I've worked with city governments. I've worked with, aerospace people. I mean, it's and coaches and consultants and branding experts hire me, because the big secret is we all hire each other because we can't see our greatness.
Every coach needs a coach. You have that blind spot. So if you are having challenges in your business in identifying your messaging, your personal brand, that's what a personal brand coach and expert like Nancy does. So I want to say thank you so much for being with us. I'm so grateful for your time, for your energy, for your heart, for your wisdom, for those 10 messages that I think I signed up. I signed up yesterday. I should check my email. It'll just come to me in an email in a PDF, right? Ooh la la.
God willing. We just switched from Infusionsoft to Active Campaign, and I'm hoping everything's working.
Yes, I heard Active Campaign is wonderful. So thank you so much. And thanks you all, Brittany, Jennifer, Melissa, Maria, J.I., all of you for tuning in today. Feel free to ask any questions if you want. We can have some final questions while I'm wrapping up. I want to let you know that we are here each and every week on the Align for Success podcast. My intention is to help you with the inner tools to create the outer success by bringing you all of my coaches and all of my mentors so that you can align for success. If you are interested in my Align for Success free download video, you can get it on deborahderas.com. You can also check out, I think I have over 22 webinars this month, all on mindset, marketing, and manifestation. And I'm telling you, I think 95% of them are all free. And you could just sign up, register, come, and I would love to see you there. We also have the Ignite Your Revenue coaching program. So if you feel called to synergize with other soul-based entrepreneurs, you could go to deborahderas.com/events and join us for the group coaching. I want to say thank you again for being with us. I know Mondays are challenging, especially the Monday after Easter for us in LA, the Monday where we woke up at 4:44 with an earthquake. But you know what? We're shaken up because we've got alignment with our beautiful Nancy Marmolejo. I'm so grateful. I'm going to bring her back for a second. So grateful to have you on our show, and we will have you back because you know that's how I do it. I always have you back over and over. Any show I have, she's the first guest that I always book. She's so amazing, and you guys would be lucky to work with her. I am blessed to have her as my coach, as my sister, as my comadre, and I know you will be too. Okay, so remember, with the power of synergy, anything is possible. Ciao. Bye.